All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So, what I want to get into today, or what I want to call this podcast, is take time out to go do what you want to do. I know some of these titles I come up with are kind of crazy, or they're just kind of common sense, but I can't believe how many people aren't doing what they want to do. Now, I get a lot of people just want to retire and just go do whatever the hell they want to do and they can't afford to, or there are certain things that they just want to do that they can't afford. We all get that shit. And I've done podcasts a long time ago regarding something similar, regarding that a lot of people, actually, the things they love the most are very small and simple in life. They're not as complicated, or what they think something would be if it's very extravagant isn't always what it is, I guess you could say. So a lot of people want to own a Ferrari until they get a Ferrari and have to deal with the maintenance, the problems, the aggravation, the stress, even walking away from it, someone damaging it. Unless you're a multimillionaire, a lot of Ferraris hold their value pretty well, but a lot of people who own expensive sports cars don't realize a lot of times how much they lose in value after a certain amount of time. The insurance, all these things. Again, if you're a millionaire, it doesn't faze you, but most people aren't millionaires, but they want luxury items. They don't realize all the stress that comes along with them, including expensive homes and many other things. But I always say even a great cup of coffee, being with your friends and family, just going to dinner is amazing. And a lot of people don't realize this, but I'm here to tell you, man, quit putting off things that you want to do, especially if you're at a certain age and you can do them now physically, and doing things with others that you love as well, that they're in the right condition to do these things with you. I talked about this once on a podcast, and I think about it all the time. This lady I knew, her mother was Chinese, and her mother was dreamed to go to China with her daughter and do a month trip there or something. She never did it. Her mother got ill, eventually passed away, and she just kept thinking in the future she'll do it with her mother, and she never got around to doing it. I'm kind of like that right now with my father, to be honest with you. He's always wanted to go to Europe. He's never been to Italy. I have. And right now he's having some health conditions off and on. Nothing drastic, but I don't know if physically he can handle Italy to the level that I think he would want to take it to, as far as hitting so many different cities, states, a lot of walking, takes a lot of energy. Italy, it's not a place where you're going to be cruising around in a wheelchair. Yeah, certain areas, Rome, and some places are equipped for that. And of course you could be in a wheelchair, I shouldn't say, and go to Italy. But if you want to travel at hardcore, it's not easy. Let's put it that way. But back to doing things that you want to do. And I spent some more, my mother just had a 70th birthday party, a surprise birthday party. Actually, my aunts surprised me having a surprise party. I didn't even, I was surprised myself when they told me they were hosting it. So I got to spend some time again with my mother all week, which is wonderful. And again, just going to an Italian grocery store with her is wonderful. It's amazing. That's what I used to do in my youth, and I love doing that with her now. And my grandmother, she's having some health issues as well. I got to spend a lot of time with her as well. And she's turning, what is she turning? 86, I think. My mother's 70, so I think she's 86. She's going to be 86 or 87, one of those. And she's having a huge birthday party. I wasn't able to go to that because I have 3 birthday parties last week, and I have 3 this week, which include my father turning 75, my girlfriend's son, and my girlfriend, all this week as well. So I had to get back to Florida, but they're having another huge birthday party for my grandmother, and we had to write something up regarding, our past with her, why we love her, and blah, 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 and they're going to be putting a photo. So let me get some water here. So I'm the oldest out of, I don't know how many at this point, many. My great-grandmother, I'm the oldest great-grandson boy, but there's 170 of us. With this grandmother, my mother's mother, I don't know how many there is. If you told me there was 30, 40, I don't even know. There's a lot of us. I'm the oldest, period. So I'm going to be first. And I kept thinking about, what my relationship with my grandmother was. And my mother had my mother at a very, very, very young age. And then my mother had me at a very young age. So most people thought my mother was my sister and my grandmother was my mother growing up. And I spent a lot of time with them. And then my mother got divorced at a young age. And my grandmother got a divorce as well from my step-grandfather. So, and then we also hung out with my great-grandmother from Italy. So them three were a pack, and I fell right into it. So I was always with them. If I wasn't with my mother, I was with my grandmother. If I wasn't with my grandmother, I was with my great-grandmother. We basically, and what I wrote was what I loved it was just me originally for a long time, for a few years, and then my cousin Nicole came, and then some others as well. But for a while, it was just me. And when my other cousins came, they were still like babies. So I got to enjoy all of them for many, many years. I've been with my grandmother now for obviously half a decade, which is pretty amazing. And like I was saying, they kind of programmed me we were going to a lot of favorite Italian restaurants, bakeries, just many different things throughout the city of Chicago. And my grandmother even owned her own retail shop. I never thought about that. That's one of the reasons I may love retail or going to malls. She had her own shop called Mitzi Sales. And, you kind of pick and choose your program, but what do I really love to do? And I found now in the last 10 years of traveling, when I had to write, whatever I had to write about my grandmother is, I still do a lot of the things that they did or I did with them as a child that I love to do, even going for a fresh cappuccino in the morning. Like I said, hanging out at Italian restaurants, getting pastas or going shopping for certain specific things, hanging out in a diner, for instance, or just all different. I don't want to get long-winded here, but all those are the things I love to do. And I think a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of things that they may have loved to do and they just don't do them anymore. They may have forgotten how much they love them. And even though I do this every day, I forgot that a lot of the things I was doing was still the same things I did with them. And that's the reason why I keep doing them. And I think about them all the time, but I never put two and two together. But you may be in a situation too in your life where, and I'm going to do a podcast on this, where our life becomes a rerun. I'm going to do it with my girlfriend, Rhea. After a certain point, I think, if you live long enough to say 40, 50, 60 years old, I think for the most part, a lot of us just keep living the same type of day over and over again. Now, sure, other new people may come in and out of our life. It could be grandchildren, nieces, nephews, whatever, family members. That changes, and the environment, obviously, everything changes. There's no question about that. But a lot of people get kind of, and I don't even mean stuck in a rut. Some people are very comfortable living that life. Again, nothing wrong with that. But I do see a lot of people, because I have so many family members, friends, and colleagues, doing the same thing over and over again. And they find themselves being kind of miserable. They're not willing to experiment, try anything new. And also they're not willing to do the things again that they loved or still love to do. For some reason, they almost put up a barrier. I don't know if it's laziness. And again, this isn't something that's extremely expensive. It's not like saying, a lot of people that I run into all the time, they're like, hey, world traveler. I go, hey, I don't travel. I only travel in North America. I mean, I've been to Italy and Bahamas and some other spots, maybe. But it's not like by any means I'm some world traveler. But I discovered when I was younger, I knew where I wanted to go and what I wanted to visit. And I was truthful about that, and I did it. I finally did it. I think the only place I haven't been to, I wouldn't mind checking out Montana. I think that's the only place I haven't been to. But I'm not somebody who had the interest in going to China, Japan. I'm not even that interested in London. If I go back to Europe, I just want to stay in Italy because I knew what I wanted. And that's the other thing too. A lot of people, I think, almost, they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They claim they want to do something, but they want to do something else. Or I kind of want to do that, but I'm not sure. Or I'm going to do this after I do that. All that type of shit. Like, just figure out specifically what you want to do and go do it. Now, again, if it's something like saying I want to go, on a cruise for a year and you can't afford it, if that's a goal for you, maybe figure out a way to do it. But again, I don't think most people are like that. I think a lot of people are more or less, I want to get my teeth fixed. Just saying, like if you're older, I want to go shopping and buy a pair of gym shoes, or I want to go buy something, or go to this restaurant, but you won't ever go to try it out. I want to go to this city. And you just don't do it. And a lot of people could afford it, or they can, find a way how to do it, but they're not creative enough, or they're just lazy. I also think, and I went through this, I'll tell you right now, I didn't realize it till after I did it. So I always wanted to go to Italy with my uncles and my Italian uncles, and I did it. And I think one of the reasons I postponed it for so many years was one, it's going to cost a lot of money, especially the way we went and how long we were there, and we wanted to hit every city, which we ended up doing. It was amazing. But I think sometimes when we do what we postpone doing what we want to do sometimes, because once it's over, we don't have anything to really look forward to, especially if it's something as big as that, I guess you could say, because that was pretty big. And I think sometimes people would rather feel like I need to do that or I want to do that, but they don't do it. And I think it's also because they're afraid of doing it, because like I said, they again won't have things to look forward to. And if you're in that position, don't wait. I'm telling you, go do it, because once you do something like that, you're going to experiment it, obviously, and then you're going to either figure out and say, hey, that wasn't worth it, or it was worth it. But you also may figure out and say, hey, for instance, me going to Italy, I'll just use for example, we basically did Milan all the way down to Sorrento, back up to Milan. I didn't get to hit the Amalfi Coast the way I wanted to. I didn't get to hit southern Italy, and I was just with my Italian uncles again, and I said, we go back. We're just staying south this time. Sure, we'll do Rome, but we're going to go home to Naples, visit our family and all that. But we're going to go south more, because we did a lot more north. And so my point being is, now I want to take on another adventure, or I want to try something new besides just saying, hey, we go to Italy, or I go to Italy, right? And I think a lot of people, like I was saying earlier, they just, again, you know what you want to do a lot of times in life, right? And I don't know why we stop ourselves from doing it. It's crazy. I don't know why we even self-sabotage ourselves. And I see so many people doing that, and they make it sound almost impossible to do for them, a lot of times. And it could be as simple as opening a small business. It could be as simple, again, as, and here's the thing too. If you're younger and you can help the elderly, or even middle-aged, do it. Talk to I don't care if it's your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your cousins, whoever. Listen to them and help them, because I don't think a lot of older people, I guess you could say, or elderly or whatever, they don't realize all the things that we have that we can do for them. But a lot of us younger people, I'm not even that young, I'm middle-aged, or I'm older than middle-aged, but we can help them. And again, it could be as simple as finding for your grandfather a certain thing that he from World War II, a knick-knack, or something that he would love to have, or your grandparents or your mother may love a certain, who knows, it could be something that she's a piece of jewelry, hypothetically, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, an outfit, something even current. They don't know how to get those things. They still almost think like it's 1980, right? They know the internet's out there, and they know stuff is for sale. They're just scared to do those type of things. But please help those people. I got my mother and father I talk to on the phone all the time, and I try to help them in any way I can. And also, I'm going to wrap it up here a little bit. Like I was just telling you earlier, going with my uncles or my father or whatever, if you have, certain things you want to do in your life, right, do them. But also back to paying attention to people that are older than you. And if you don't realize, you doing things in their life may be the most important thing in their life. If that makes sense. My father loves to go to car shows. And I have a lot in common with my father, and then I don't have a lot in common with my father. But his obsession for cars wasn't like, I like cars, but I wasn't obsessed with them. He has a 1980 Golden Spirit Zimmer that he loves. We go to car shows, he wins awards. Before, I wasn't necessarily taking as much time out to spend with him regarding certain things. But now it's kind of become our thing doing these car shows. And I can just tell he loves going there. I mean, I think he loves going there with me, and I love going there with him. And again, it doesn't even have to be somebody older. You may have a little brother, sister, you may have cousins, you may have friends, younger people that look up to you as well. Again, you spending time with them to do what they want to do is huge. And I don't just mean, I think a lot of people think we got to go always do something extravagant. Like we got to go to a game, a football game, basketball, baseball, hockey, or. But if you know someone young and they love to fish, just surprise them and take them fishing. I was the oldest cousin on one side of my family, so I have all these young ones. I think I'm the oldest, which is 50. My cousin B just got married. She's in her early 20s. That's the range. And then on my other side of the family, my father's, I'm the baby. And then I have cousins that go all the way up to, what's my cousin Linda? I think she's my father's age roughly, so she's probably 74. So from 50 to 74, so it's the flip side of things. My older cousins used to take me everywhere. I think one was because my parents were divorced, but all the things that they used to do for me and take me and treat me incredible. I used to go on different trips to Florida with them, and I've discussed this on my podcast before. I wasn't even a fisherman, but they had a lake. Some of them were very well, a lot of them were well off. They had beautiful homes, nice suburbs. We had a summer home. They loved boats, and we would go water skiing, snow skiing. They were the first ones to have sea-doos and all the fun stuff. And my stepmother and my step-aunt were huge in the water skiing too. We just did a lot of activities, but they would take me for ice cream. In Chicago, they'd take me to the best beef joints, the best hot dog place at that time, ice cream. I never forget all those things they do for me. I talk about them all the time. So if you're somebody who has, and again, you don't have to be a millionaire, if you have people in your life that want to spend time with you, or that want to do certain things that, they may not be able to afford, and maybe you can help them do that, because I have a cousin that does that for so many of my family. He's unbelievable. He does everything for us. For the most part, he just does so many incredible things and helps us out. And he is the biggest giver I've ever met in my life. And he knows a lot of times people can't afford to do certain things, but he makes sure that he lets them experience that. And I think his enjoyment comes from just seeing the excitement that they get. Now, he's wealthy. Now, I'm not saying you have to be wealthy, but I'm telling you, a lot of times with people, it's something could be very simple and just surprising them and doing something. So I just thought I would do a podcast on that. I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, check out my YouTube channel. You could go to richcelenza.com and see everything on there, actually. It's got, obviously, my podcast. It's got YouTube. It's got my Mastering Self-Confidence. It's got a little bit of everything in there. So check that out. I'm also on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So I'll wrap it up there. Take care, and please go do things you love to do. Also enjoy them with people that you love, because I'm telling you, they're not going to always be around, and either are you. All right, take care.